Hello and welcome to Video Game Hangover. I'm Randy Dickinson and I'm in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Hello, I'm DJ Ross. I'm in Mountain View, California.
On every episode of Video Game Hangover, we talk about the games that have been keeping us up at night. This week, that list includes Final Fantasy XIV Dawntrail.
It's here.
And that's the thing? That's the thing.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's it.
Huzzah! I'm surprised you have time to come here and hang out with me.
I should have mentioned that this is going to be a short episode.
Oh, okay. That's it. That's the entire episode. Thank you. Good night.
Got about 4 minutes left.
Yeah. It's
fine. Let's keep going.
Yeah. No, you leave and I'll talk about Little Kitty Big City for 90 minutes.
Oh, I want to hear about that.
Just talk to myself about
Yeah. I mean, I would also like to hear you talk to yourself about it for 90 minutes. So now I have to decide which would be more interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if that is the more interesting option. But yeah, that's the other game.
The 90-minute monologue episode, just getting real high concept with the shows this year.
So yes, that Final Fantasy thing, we're going to do that. We're going to do Little Kitty Big City. And we also played Zelda 4 Swords together.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do now. We play games together.
Yes, we do. Although, in this case, it was only 3 swords, but we can get into that.
It was 3.
Oh, no. It was 3.5, we decided. But
although our third sword was doing the work of 2 swords, honestly.
Yes, that's true. We actually don't know how many swords were present, but that's the title is 4 Swords.
Correct. All of that and so much more on this, another exciting episode of Video Game Hangover.
Okay, that's it. I gotta go.
So, Final Fantasy week is upon us.
It is. Oh, man. Dawntrail weekend. So much fun. It was just early access weekend, and I was getting into it. It was good. It's been a long time since I've just, what do they call it these days? Just no life the video game over the weekend.
A long time, like since the last Final Fantasy.
Yeah, yes,
14.
probably since the last expansion came out.
Right.
No, surely there was some other thing. Did I spend the whole weekend playing Tears of the Kingdom? I'm trying to think. I mean, surely there was some other game in between now and the previous expansion.
I'm sure there was, and don't call me Shirley.
Yes, thank you. Do we want to get right into it? Do you want to talk about 4 Swords? Do you want to talk about whatever?
Yeah, let's start with 4 Swords. We've been doing this every other Monday night stream, so we want to make sure we invite everybody to come check out our next stream on Monday, July 8th. We play at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Twitch, twitch.tv/VGHangover. Our next game we're going to play together is the Suika game. They have a new multiplayer mode, so DJ and I are going to make fruit salad together.
Oh. And then we're going to play the Suika game multiplayer mode.
And then we're going to play Suika game multiplayer mode, yeah.
Yeah. Do a cooking stream one of these weeks.
Stole my punchline, DJ.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, well, I'll cut it out in post. I'll make it sound like it was your idea.
Screw it, we'll do it live. But yeah, I've played a lot of Suika game, and DJ has played very little.
I have played 0 Suika game.
0. So this might be a little lopsided, but we'll see how it goes. It should be fun.
I've played games that are similar to this, but yeah. I have not played the Suika game proper, so it'll be an exciting stream, at least from my perspective.
Sure. It's very fidgety. The physics in it are a little unpredictable. So it's I have games where I go hours and hours and I feel like just a master of the universe, and I have ones that last about 3 minutes, and I'm like, nope, I've screwed up. Go back. Not unlike Slay the Spire.
I was going to say, it sounds oddly like my Slay the Spire experience for the past few weeks. Yeah, do you want to just do another episode where we only talk about Slay the Spire, or just bring up Slay the Spire every 30 seconds? Do you want to just pivot to Slay the Spire all the time?
I haven't played any recently, so I don't know that I have. Yeah. Sorry. I mean, you got me. When we revisited it a few weeks ago, I was like all in for like a week. I was like, oh no, it's back. It's happening again.
Yeah.
And then I had to stop.
Oh man, what happened?
Yeah. I had to do the adult thing. I had to remove it from my Switch.
Wow.
So that I could focus on, what was I playing at the time?
So you can play other video games,
other video games. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, that is some sort of responsible.
But yeah, so next Monday night stream will be July 8th, 10 p.m. Eastern time. That is going to be Suika Game. DJ and I will play some fun co-op puzzle goofiness. And we would love for you to hang out with us, chat with us, share gaming advice if you have any. And and we'll do the thing.
Yeah, give me your best watermelon tips because, like I said, I haven't played this before, so I will need all the help I can get going up against Randy, the veteran. This is like, the multiplayer thing is competitive, right? It's not like co-op Suika Game.
Right. Yeah, we're going to play against each other.
Okay, well, I feel like I will be, like, maybe you will be playing against me, or I'll be playing against you? I don't know. I feel like I'll be playing it single player, essentially, and you will just be dropping garbage on me.
Well, I mean, that's one of the modes. That's an option. We'll get to that, I'm sure. But the new multiplayer pack has 3 modes in it. One is we just play Suika Game side by side. And there is a time attack mode where you got 5 minutes to do as much as you possibly can. And then there's a battle mode, essentially, where as I clear fruit from my fruit salad, basically it appears on your side and makes it harder for you to play.
Okay. That was how I was
multiplayer Tetris.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, should be fun. We'll start gentle. We'll work our way up to craziness.
Okay, good. That's very gracious of you.
Yeah, thank you. I am nothing if not gracious.
Oh, yeah, I know that's what they say.
But last week we played Zelda 4 Swords. This is the this was just like a stealth drop at the last Nintendo Direct. This is a good old GBA game that showed up in the Nintendo Online service with online multiplayer, which was very, very exciting.
Yeah.
So, had you played this before, DJ?
I had not. I played no version of this because, as we were saying on the stream, there was like, this is the first incarnation of it. But then there was like a GameCube version, which used those goofy Game Boy Advance adapters. And then they made like an anniversary version for the 3DS, which I have, but I've never played. So I feel like this was a fitting introduction. Just go back to the original Game Boy Advance version, see what it's all about.
Yeah.
And you had not played this either, right?
No, this was my first experience with this.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you think?
It was fine. It was fine.
It was fine. It was fine.
It's fine. I mean, it is a very old video game, and it plays like a very old video game.
Yeah, it definitely showed its age a bit, and I imagine the experience would have been a little smoother if we had just all been playing it locally over our lovely little Game Boy Advance link cables and not on the Nintendo Switch thing, because overall I felt like it was fine. Like you said, it was fine. Like the online experience went pretty smoothly compared to previous experiences that I've had, like with Splatoon, just playing anything on the Switch online. But, there were still some weird latency issues.
Yeah. And I don't even think that was the issue with it, honestly. It just, I thought it played fine, but no, it was a little stiff. It was a little, didn't quite sort of respond the way that I wanted it to.
Like the
it was
game
clearly
itself.
meant to be played with a very different controller than the one that I was playing it with. So yeah, I mean, it's a 22-year-old Game Boy game, so I was not expecting it to be a groundbreaking video game experience. But yeah, it was fun. It was definitely like it felt like almost a what's the thing I had in my brain, like a Wario type of situation where the 3 of us were kind of running from kind of level to level or kind of room to room in the game, and each room was built around the use of a certain tool, like the boomerang or bow and arrow and stuff like that. All classic Zelda things, as well as a couple of other sort of weird ones that are not classic Zelda things, and just sort of exploiting those to complete some objective and then lather, rinse, repeat, run on to the next one. To the extent that we sort of like zoomed through the whole thing pretty handily. There was one objective we just could not for the life of us figure out, that required us to move a rock.
Yes, we got stuck on that rock for some time
to get access to sort of a final gem that we had, or a final key or something like that we had to get. And for the life of us, could not figure out how to move the rock. We had folks from the chat who were Googling directions for us.
Yes.
Figured out how to move the rock and finally wrap the thing up. And I thought, I don't know if you thought this, but that we had beat the game. That was the entire experience. We did the whole thing.
Oh, no.
And that was just the tutorial.
Well, wait a minute. So, yeah, we did the tutorial thing, which sort of was like the introduction to how all the items function in sort of a co-op context. Because, so basically in this game, you have up to 4 links all running around and doing their own thing.
Right.
And each of them potentially has their own unique item. Instead of having the big, his big inventory bag with every item in it, you just have one at a time. So it ran us through this tutorial and sort of showed us how we can expect to have to use the items to help each other out and get to the end. But then I had sort of, like at the end of the tutorial section, I had sort of forgotten that there was more to it. Like after you unlock the tutorial, or after you complete the tutorial, you unlock 3 larger overworld areas. And then I think we just did one of them because as fast as we got through the tutorial, it still, I mean, it wasn't like 5 minutes and done. It still took quite a while, but
yeah,
I felt like it was pretty smooth sailing for the most part.
But it was fine though. I looked, in general, I sort of felt like I've seen it enough. I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really, I don't long for a 4-player Zelda, Link experience, I guess in this case.
No.
And this was a fun sort of rapid fire way to have some, have a relatively goofy, not terribly difficult experience with a couple of friends, but no, I think after that tutorial chunk, I was like, no, I get it. I'm fine.
Oh, I felt like we were just warming up. Like,
oh, really?
I really enjoyed it. Because, I mean, there was stuff that it made us do in the tutorial that did not appear in that first level that we played. And I was just like, where was all that? They're probably just saving it for later on. And I was just imagining, like, okay, yeah, it is pretty simple. Like, the first area, you're just doing, like, the most obvious stuff with the items and everything. And there wasn't a whole lot of collaboration taking place.
Yeah.
Aside from everybody having to push that rock. But then, like, you remember in the tutorial, there are all those sections where there were the different colored blocks and passages that corresponded to, like, which color link you were, and only certain links could do certain things in each room.
Yes.
And that just did not appear in the level we played. So I was just waiting till I don't know when it shows up later on, but I'm just picturing the final dungeon in this game just turning into a Portal 2 situation where it's like, oh man, I don't even know how to approach this, and just having to sit down and figure it out with our put our foreheads together.
Yeah. Yes. I think I wanted there to be more of that because it definitely felt, at least initially, like a bit of a race. Because we all had the same, we started empty-handed, we all ultimately found the same piece of equipment, and then we were just sort of like spamming the use of that to kind of get to the end of the little gauntlet they had set up.
I didn't care much for that first section because it didn't seem to require anybody really working together. Like I think we just split up immediately, and it was sort of like, everybody go gather as many rubies as you can.
Sure. But then there were a couple of instances further in where we picked up different items at different times, and so we would get to an objective and be like, oh, this requires the boomerang. Who still has one?
Yeah.
And you could find your third friend who had the boomerang and had not given it up to pick up some other new shiny item, and that was the key to being able to unlock some portal or hit a switch or something like that to be able to proceed. So that was more fun, and it definitely sort of tapped into people having kind of different pieces of equipment at different times, and it encouraged you to kind of play together because you needed each other to be able to proceed. And initially, the game didn't feel like that game. So hopefully, as you proceed, there is more of that kind of stuff because that felt more compelling and more like a reason to create a multiplayer Zelda experience.
Yeah. I was really waiting for that moment where we would just be like, okay, I've got the bomb, he's got the bow.
Sure.
This is how we have to combine all these things. Because there was one stretch where I had the bomb, and I was just like, okay, I'm going to hang on to this because at some point we will need a bomb. and I will have it, and I will do the bomb thing, and then just we never needed it. I was just waiting for it, and I was like, oh, there was like nothing. There was not even a cracked wall anywhere or anything. Okay,
Not that we found. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a little weird, but I guess they have to keep it so you can still solve each level with only 2 people, because you can like supposedly play this with just 2, even though it allows up to 4 people at once.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I don't know. Well, maybe I had different expectations than what they actually had in store.
Yeah, I mean, essentially the items are classes, right? I mean, if
A little bit, yeah.
If there was a modern version of this, I suspect one of the Zelda, one of the links would be the heavy, one would be the sniper, one would be whatever. So that would be a kind of an interesting kind of Borderlands approach to this, where it takes all 4 of your skills working together to be able to overcome something.
Yeah.
But there were moments of Four Swords that felt a little bit like that, but it also sort of felt like that it was just a race to the finish line sometimes, and it was pretty easy to just leave your other your co-op partners behind and just sort of do your own thing, as long as you all finished eventually.
Yeah, which was a little disappointing, but it was still. Yeah. I think I had a fun experience just seeing what it was all about. I'm really curious about that GameCube version. But I don't know if there's a really feasible way to play that in 2024.
Yeah. That's the Four Swords
Adventures. It was difficult,
right?
Even when it came out. Yeah, Four Swords Adventures. Because at the time I had a GameCube, and I had one friend with the Game Boy Advance and the Link cable thing, because why would you even own one of those? I think it only worked with 2 or 3 games. So it was a whole ordeal being able to play Crystal Chronicles, the Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles that way. Never got a whole party together for Four Swords Adventures, though.
Yeah. So I don't necessarily feel like I need to go back and finish this. I'm not sure if it was compelling enough to you to want to go back to it, but I don't know. Left me a little ho-hum.
Yeah, I'm not dying to complete it, but man, I am just sort of curious about how much it ramps up, because you know how Nintendo games are sometimes. They start you off real light, but by the end you're just like, well, this is probably impossible. How are you supposed to do this?
Yes. Yeah. And there was a little bit of a battle between the 3 of us that were playing. So shout out to our buddy Twisted Link from our Discord for rounding out our trio for this game. He definitely did a lot of the heavy lifting for DJ. I think he seemed to sort of know where things were when we needed them. But there were the sort of like the end wrap up where it sort of ranked how many coins each of us had gotten over the course of the level. And that was the little meta game that sort of continued between each of the little courses. The one who got the least amount of money was having a little temper tantrum kind of on the ground. Stomping
in the game, not the
game,
person playing,
right? And crying, and it had the little meter that rose up to sort of see who finished first, and that was kind of fun. But I could see kind of a modern version of this being compelling. This just felt like it was just sort of figuring it out.
But you played that Triforce Heroes game, right? Was that comparable?
Probably. Yeah, that felt like a bit more of, that was in 3D, and it felt like a bit more of a puzzle game. Like, I forget who I played with. I thought it was you, but maybe not. But I distinctly recall us trying to sort of figure out, like, how do we get out of this room or get past this chasm or something like that, and we had to sort of look around and find context clues and what tools do we have, and et cetera, et cetera. So you were trying to sort of like solve like escape room puzzles essentially together. And there were up to 4 people, and they were all Link and had different tools. So maybe.
Okay, well, I was going to say, it seems like this is something, or it's like a variation of Zelda that they haven't really explored. But then I realized I never actually played that Triforce Heroes, so I was wondering if that was their modern update to it.
Maybe.
But anyway, they should still make another one just for my sake.
or at least port that one to the Switch somehow.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll do that.
So yeah, Zelda Four Swords. Yeah, getting closer to having played nearly all the Zelda games.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, oh man, well now I definitely need to play that Triforce Heroes. But well, the backlog attack's coming up. Maybe this is the year we play Skyward Sword.
Yeah. Is there a way to play that? I think they turned off all of the 3DS infrastructure, haven't they?
Oh, for Skyward Sword or for Triforce Heroes?
For Triforce Heroes, yeah.
I don't know if they turn off the multiplayer. Like, you can't buy it from the shop anymore. That's for sure.
Oh.
But, like, maybe if you have a copy still, you can still play it. I don't know.
Might be worth exploring.
I'll just buy a physical copy and drive over to Pennsylvania. We can local co-op.
Yeah.
That'd be worth it. Just cross-country road trip, play a 3DS game.
To play arguably one of the least interesting Zelda games ever.
Come on.
Sure. Come on over, DJ.
All right. Well, I'll get in my car right after this.
So what else? Little Kitty Big City. Do you want to end with Final Fantasy, or are you just itching to talk about it right now?
We can talk about the Little Kitty and the Big City. That's one game.
It's one game, yeah. We're in a golden age of cat games.
Are we?
Probably. I don't know. I've played 2 of them.
Well, does that constitute a golden age?
There are others. There's Cat Quest. There's that cat lateral damage.
Yes. Oh, I actually played that one. That was good. That's probably my favorite cat game.
I've played 3 then, actually, because that I have also played that too.
So the difference between that game and Stray to me, Stray, I feel like if you're talking about the golden age of cat games, it's a lot of people's go-to. Is I felt like with cat lateral damage, like by the end of it, I really felt like I had internalized what is going on in a cat's head. Like I just understood why they do things. And the answer is it's to keep their combo up or whatever they were trying to do in that game.
Right. Yeah.
They were trying to get a high score just all the time.
To do as much damage as humanly possible.
Yeah, but no, that game is very good.
Yeah. Yeah, and Stray, I remember you and I had played it simultaneously, and our kind of takeaway was that the cat in Stray is a dog, essentially. Like
a dog. Yeah.
He's very well behaved. He is here to help. He's friendly to everybody, and didn't really have any kind of the personality quirks or that strong independent streak that, like, I think I associate with cats.
I felt like it is not, like, especially relevant that you are a cat in the game. Yeah. It's not vital that the protagonist is a cat. It's
just meme worthy, right?
Yes, it did get them a lot of press. So very shrewd,
right? Yeah, so I think Little Kitty Big City is kind of an interesting proposition then in that you are definitely much more of a cat doing cat things. I think this game has a lot more in common with the Untitled Goose Game, in fact, than kind of previous cat games that I've played. In that you are, it's a version of an open world. It's a segmented open world. And you do have objectives, you have goals, you're trying to sort of like get to a certain thing. But you also have kind of all of the tools available at your disposal that a cat would have, in terms of like just choosing to sun yourself or to do stretches and, or you can hunt birds, which is not as gruesome as it sounds. But you can also be very sort of precocious, and you can choose to like nuzzle against somebody's legs, and they'll, oh, cool, a little cat, and they'll go to pet you, and then you can scratch them if you want to. So you get to sort of like choose your what kind of cat do you want to be? And there are objectives that you have to overcome that do require you to sort of kind of do cat things. There's a talking raccoon who will, help do things for you and give you access to other parts of the city if you can collect enough feathers for him. And that, of course, requires you catching birds. But birds are hard to catch, so you have to find somebody who's walking around the city eating a bagel. And you kind of nuzzle their legs and then trip them, and they fall over and drop their bagel, and you steal their bagel. And you use that to bait the birds, which you then pounce on. insert stealth mini game here. And and yeah, and you go to a construction site and you can walk on wet cement and watch the construction workers' faces melt essentially as you're doing this. And so yeah, you get to sort of be a bit of a mischievous cat at times, and stuff like that is very satisfying.
Okay, wait a minute. I had to back up for a second. This talking raccoon, is this like an anthropomorphic, like human, like raccoon standing upright? Is he like just speaking to you? Are you a talking cat?
Does the cat talk? I've played a lot of hours of this game. I don't think the cat talks. I think the cat is a silent protagonist, but everybody talks to you. Yeah.
But it's just a normal raccoon, other than the fact that it can talk to cats?
Well, he's a bit of a tinkerer, because he's a raccoon. And he likes shiny things. So you can, yes, essentially, without sort of spoiling anything, the raccoon knows secrets and knows ways to get you around the city. And it does require him being a bit of an inventor, being a bit of a mad scientist. So yeah, there's definitely some anthropomorphized kind of traits to this raccoon.
But then you said there are humans in it. They're the ones eating the bagel. So it's not like Animal Crossing where there's just animals walking around.
No, it's not like Animal Crossing. No.
Okay. Yeah. I got it.
There are other animals that talk to you. The dogs don't talk. The dogs just bark at you. But like there's other cats that will give you advice or will kind of poke fun at you. You are a house cat who has inadvertently found yourself lost in the big city, and you're trying to make your way back to your nice posh apartment on the top floor of a high rise. So the street cats, the alley cats, kind of deride you for not having street skills. So it's a little fun in that way, as you just kind of meet interesting characters, and they sort of recur throughout the course of the city as you sort of move through different objectives. Other little critters will pop up and give you new advice, or the raccoon will pop up again and give you, access to some passage or some tool or whatever that you didn't have before. So there's definitely like video gamey things happening. But you do still kind of have the full kind of suite of options to just be a cat sometimes and just kind of walk around and solve little puzzles and explore and find a way to sort of sneak into little private gardens behind people's houses and stuff like that. And so you're kind of doing cat stuff, kind of exploring the city, jumping over walls, knocking over trash cans.
It's like in Grand Theft Auto if you just ignore the campaign.
Sure. Yeah.
Like you can still drive the taxi if you want.
I haven't gotten to that level yet, but
well, I hope that's in there.
Or it just turns into Toonces, the cat who could drive.
Yes. Yep.
If you're under 40, Google that. It's very funny. Yeah, but yeah. So definitely more like Untitled Goose Game, in that the humans are kind of these blank slates for you to just sort of annoy. And you can sort of do things to kind of terrorize them. I found in the construction site, it was super fun to climb up very high into the girders of the construction area and wait for the construction workers to walk by underneath you and to attack their helmet. And it was like slow motion cat dive off of a girder onto the head of a construction worker, and panic and chaos ensue. So it's just kind of fun to kind of grief other people essentially in the world. And kind of mess around with some of the tools that you do have. It's a little kind of fidgety with the controls. I really just kind of want it to be a platformer, and to like just jump onto things or to push, B to knock stuff over. But like the way that it makes you sort of like ascend and climb is weird, is that you do have kind of a stamina meter, and you have to sort of fill your stamina meter to be able to climb over bigger things. And that's a way of sort of gatekeeping you within parts of the city without having to have access to the entire thing all at once. Even the mechanic of jumping is a little bizarre in that, like, you have to hold down kind of the pounce button and it brings up a little like reticle that's like a couple of paws, and you have to sort of put the paws on the thing you want to jump to. And if they light up green, you can jump to that. And then you let go of the pounce button and you jump to it. So it's not like just push a button and jump.
That's a little weird.
It's a little bizarre in that it sort of makes you kind of work for it, and it kind of holds you back from being able to do cat things because you haven't earned enough stamina just yet. And again, that feels like a kind of very video gamey kind of contrivance for something that I just want to be kind of a cat simulator.
That's weird. Like sometimes games will do the reverse jump thing where it's like you hold down and release. And I find that I get used to that after just a little time with the game, but having to like hold it down and then do the whole cursor business, that sounds like, I don't know what kind of game that sounds like.
Yeah. If anybody's ever played a video game where you want to throw something and you have to you pull your arm back and it brings out the little arc that you have to sort of figure out where, that's exactly what happens for the cat to jump. So it's a little, fidgety, a little annoying, and I just wish it was like a jump button.
You know what this needs? It needs that gyro aiming.
Yeah, just look down the scope of my Nintendo Switch and go for headshots.
Yeah, exactly. Motion controlled cat jumping. It'd be good.
But it's cute. It's very charming. Kind of fun. The cat is adorable. And there's little hats and little outfits that you find all over the city, and you can change a cat's hat. I found ones that has little devil horns. So that's kind of been my permanent outfit for my cat. But there's also one that's like a strawberry. That's like a little strawberry knit hat that the cat can wear.
Oh, can you get the little like meme frog hat?
There is a frog
like
hat.
a slice of bread. That's classic.
I don't think I found the bread one yet. It's got to be in there somewhere. There's a lot. There's like 40 or 50 different hats. So they are the main collectible in the game. So I do find myself kind of looking for little mouse holes I can kind of squeeze myself into, or little garden walls I can jump over, because there's usually some fun secret collectible hidden on the other side. So there's a little bit of a puzzle in how do you kind of like get into the more hidden parts of the city. And then sort of the gatekeeping happens with you being able to sort of progress and get closer and closer to the high rise, and then be able to sort of ascend your way back up to your home. It's pretty playable. It doesn't really get in your way a lot, except for with some of the fidgety controls. It's very charming. I'm playing it on the Switch, but I think it's on just about everything. A very different experience from Stray, which felt sort of very narrative driven, and it had like a story to tell and things like that.
Yeah.
And this is just kind of a cat sandbox with some kind of goalposts for you to achieve.
I feel like Stray was such a bait and switch. I mean, I don't want to spend the whole time complaining about Stray, but this sounds much more like how I expected Stray to go. Yeah,
I like Stray. I think I liked it quite a bit more than you did, actually.
I mean, it was fine.
Yeah.
Like when I got down to it, I was just like, oh, okay, it's about robots. It's not about cats.
It's not quite the game that they sort of teased it to be, I think. I see your perspective on the bait and switch. It definitely, as I was playing it, went, oh, I didn't think it was going to be this.
Yeah, but this one sounds like you're definitely just doing cat things the whole time, or not doing them, if that's what you want to do.
Your choice, yeah. Sometimes it's just nice to find a big sunbeam and like curl up.
Yeah. What happens then? Do you just like watch the cat take a nap?
Yeah, more or less, yeah.
Okay.
Play some kind of fun lo-fi music, and you take a nap in the sunbeam.
Yeah.
So it's cute. It's very charming. I'm having a good time with it. I've played quite a bit of it actually over the last couple of weeks. I want to see the cat get home. I would recommend with a couple little conditions, obviously.
Okay. Well, cool. Yeah, this is on my list to check out. So I'm glad it is not. I mean, it sounds like I said, it sounds like the cat game that I wanted to play. Yeah.
Yes, I think, if you were sort of annoyed by Stray not being that game, this is much closer to, I think, the promise of that.
Yeah.
So this is called Little Kitty Big City. Like I said, I'm playing it on the Switch. I'm fairly certain it's come out for all of the consoles and stuff. If any of this sounds appealing, definitely check it out.
Well, I like that they're just making these animal games. I don't know what the next animal I would like to play as is. Maybe a raccoon? You're just like, I don't know, washing your food, building things.
Yeah. I mean, it could be like a thief simulator, right? Raccoons are like like little sneaky little thieves. So
yeah, well, we've been talking a lot of behind the scenes about Splinter Cell and how they're not making any more of those. But maybe Somebody just make a raccoon stealth game. That'd be good.
Yeah. Little trash bandits.
Get Michael Ironsides to do the voice.
Hell yeah. I'm down. Take my money.
Oh boy. Okay, well, looking forward to that game. Whoever makes it first. Got my pre-order.
We should copyright that, though. I think there's money to be made here.
Yeah.
At least grab sort of the URL for trashbandits.com.
Trash Bandits. I'm so tired of just the Trash Panda meme. I feel like that's played out. But maybe Trash Bandits. Yeah, maybe we could do that.
Yeah, let's sort of tie it into the Trash Panda thing, but, make it more towards the thief simulator.
Sure.
Yeah.
Trying to think if there's a play on Splinter Cell that you could use, but got nothing. It's
funny, as you say, I wish we talk about this. This is essentially how I played Untitled Goose Game, is that there were a ton of collectibles in that game. Like, if you're terrorizing the gardener, you could steal his little garden implements, his little garden tools and stuff like that. And I think there's somebody who had a pocket watch or something, and you could sort of like pull it off their hip pocket and things like that. And there was a little space in the bushes up the road in this little English village where I was just dumping all of the collectibles. And this was not part of the objective of the game. You were just trying to steal things to like cause grief, but I wanted all of them together in one place. So I just kept waddling them down the street as the goose and throwing them in the bushes. And eventually I could admire my collection of things that I had stolen from everybody. So there's your panda game.
Oh, well, so
raccoon game,
unknowingly. Oh, panda game. Yeah, no, you said that. I was just like, panda game.
No, sorry, raccoon game.
I feel like a panda game would not be especially exciting.
No.
It'd be like a lot of sleeping, and maybe you eat some bamboo and don't reproduce.
Well, right, exactly. It's zero fornication. None.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you're being watched. Yeah. If the zookeeper is there, there's absolutely no romance to be had.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's do the raccoon game first, and then we can worry about the panda game.
Sorry, that was a weird detour I took, but thanks for going with me.
Oh, yeah.
Final Fantasy. How many cats and raccoons are in this game?
Final Fantasy. There is a very nice new cat sort of minion you can get. Like in all these MMOs, you can have a little pet that follows you around and like doesn't really do anything. It's just your little buddy.
Yeah.
And there's a very nice looking little cat. And I've seen a lot of people with that little cat following them around. So there's at least one new cat you can get.
Nice.
I don't know about raccoons. But anyway, Final Fantasy XIV Dawntrail, the new expansion, came out. And early access started last Friday. It was going all weekend, so I took some time off work. It's rare for me to do that for a video game, but just something about this one. I just wanted to do it, and that's what I did. And oh man, are you ready to hear about the first bad expansion to Final Fantasy XIV?
Oh.
I'm just kidding. No, it's all fine. It's totally fine.
All right.
But man, during the early hours of this thing, that was a real thought I was having. I'm just like, what if this is just the bad one? What if they could just drop the ball with it?
I mean, they have a pretty good track record, right? I mean, you would agree with that. I believe
they have a great track record.
Enthusiastic about everything you've ever talked about with this game.
Yeah. The last few expansions, especially like Shadowbringers, which was a couple expansions ago, is like my favorite sort of like Final Fantasy thing. Like storyline at this point. That's how good it was. So I feel like, they have a pretty secure track record for these things. But I don't know what it was about the way this starts off. Like, I was pretty excited for it. I've been keeping my sort of excitement like at a reasonable level because I don't want to just like blow everything out of proportion and then get disappointed. But it just starts out like a lot of JRPGs, I guess, where, it doesn't immediately drop you into the action or anything. And in the cases of these expansions, they have all been sort of like a slow burn at the start before they drop you into the big, first dungeon. That's usually the big, first set piece where you do a lot of combat and things get heated. But for this one, it just kept like dragging on and on. I was like, what? This is like even slower than usual. And I found myself sort of like getting distracted from the main storyline to do other things. So I was like, well, that's not good. And like by the end of the weekend, I felt like I was really like lagging behind a lot of other people I'd seen logged in. But apparently it's been a common sentiment. It's like, it definitely has a slower start than the previous ones, to the point where I've seen a lot of people posting about like, wow, this is the worst expansion ever. And, the Steam reviews are mixed. And first of all, it's like, okay, let's maybe hold off until the game has been out for more than 48 hours before you write a Steam review. And then just like judge the entire thing based on that.
Yeah. Those are always the ones with the Steam review where it's sort of like, this person has played for like 46 minutes.
Yes. Those are the ones you want. It's like, oh, yeah, new MMO expansion came out. Get back to me after 24 hours and then give me your final judgment on everything. Because, like, an MMO expansion is a weird case. I mean, it's, like, different from, like, even writing that sort of 48 hours later review on any other game. Because in this case, it's like, first of all, you just have the campaign, which is essentially a new JRPG. So it's, like, 30 or 40 hours long. And then because it's an MMO, there's like all these sort of gameplay and system updates that get stacked onto the last like 10 years of this game. And then there's like 2 more years of content updates until the next expansion that comes out. And so we're not even close to seeing what's coming down the road for that sort of stuff. So how can you write a review and just write off the entire expansion immediately?
Because you got a little bored.
You got a little bit bored, yeah, and you decided in between quests you just go on Steam and write a user review. But like I see where they're coming from. Like I said, it definitely has a slower start. But so anyway, I found myself thinking about that a lot. I'm just like, well, what if they just like really dropped the ball this time? There hasn't really been a bad one of these, so maybe it's time. And what does that mean? Because like I said, maybe it's just the campaign that is uninteresting. And maybe there's just amazing content coming later, but we won't see it for a while. But as I've played more of the campaign, I'm relieved to say that it's picked up quite a bit. So I feel like my fears have been sort of like reduced a little bit, or quite a bit. So that's good. Part of the reason for this sort of like the rough start, I think, is just to give a little history. So with the previous expansion, that was sort of like them capping off the story that they had been telling, like the story arc that had been running for almost 10 years of the game at that point. So it was like a major sort of like conclusion in the story. And with this expansion, with Dawntrail, they have been pitching it as like, okay, this is the beginning of a new, potentially 10-year story arc, or just like a new era of the game, because we're putting all the previous story behind us. We're going to just have a fresh start to it. So there's like a brand new storyline. Some of the previous characters come back, but then one of the big hooks about this one is that we are leaving the continent, the half of the globe where most of the game has taken place in up to this point, and going off to the equivalent of like the Western Hemisphere, so like North and South America. Because we haven't been there yet, and who knows what's going on there, and there are going to be a whole bunch of new characters and challenges there for us to encounter. So it's like a new setting, a lot of new characters, and I feel like they're just spending a lot of time introducing the player to what all of that means. And I've seen a lot of comparisons made to sort of like when this initially came out, like the relaunch of Final Fantasy XIV. It was a lot of like world building. Mm-hmm. And like establishing just who all these characters are. And if you go back and play that now, it's not especially engaging because it's just a lot of setup. But then because they get all of that out of the way in the first sort of expansion pack, that's what lets them build up later on to do like amazing story reveals and like pull off a really satisfying conclusion 3 or 4 expansion packs later. So I've seen a lot of people speculating like, oh, so maybe, maybe we should give them a break because that's what they're doing again. This time they're just setting up all this new stuff, which I think is a sort of an interesting take on it.
Yeah. I don't know if you can sort of say this with any degree of authority, but do you feel like these expansion packs are a place where new players join Final Fantasy XIV? Do you have to have previously played Final Fantasy things to be able to jump into this, or can you start cold here?
Interesting question, and actually major point of contention among new players. Do I have to have played previous Final Fantasy games or any Final Fantasy XIV specifically?
Right.
So other Final Fantasy games, no, you don't have to play any of them. You'll be fine. It's like most Final Fantasy games, it's its own thing. It's not really connected to any of the other ones. There are like references back to them that you'll miss out on, but none of them are really critical to understanding what's actually going on in the game.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like, should you play previous Final Fantasy expansions before getting to this one? The answer is you kind of have to, because it starts off like, even if you come into this, you buy like the Dawntrail complete edition or whatever that just comes with all the previous versions. It starts you off back in 2.0, which was the relaunch at level 1, and it sort of expects you to go through like 5 expansions worth of quests and content at this point to get caught up with the story. And yeah, that's the same. That's the reaction a lot of people have. They're just like, I've seen this new expansions coming out. Looks really cool. All my friends who have been playing the game for years are excited to get into it, and I want to play with them. So now I picked up the game as a fresh new player, and now I have to go through like hundreds of hours of MMO before I can like do the same quest with them. So that's where people get hung up on a little bit. Is that it's a lot of stuff to get through at this point, and there are options in game where you can like buy a story skip in the like the online store for real money to just level you up so you're ready to go at the start of the new expansion.
Boo.
Boo. Why boo?
Well, come on. You're going to sell that to me? That's ridiculous. Like, I want to play your cool new game. Why do I have to pay to... I don't know. It seems crass.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's definitely something people have said.
Yeah.
But then, so the other thing, though, is that,
Wait. How much do I have to pay? Like $1?
No, it's like, it's fairly expensive, actually. It's like, I don't know how much they cost, but I feel like it's at least $20 or $30 to do the skip. Boo. Yeah, so it's it's questionable.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing, is that one of the, like, the story, the whole campaign experience has always been a huge part of Final Fantasy series. And 14, even though it's an MMO, is not an exception. So they really sort of like want you to go through the story, because that's sort of like the product. That's the experience.
Sure, but I'm the consumer and I want to play with my bros.
Right. Yeah, well, that's the issue it always comes down to, is like, do you want to ignore all the story that's come before that just to get caught up? And that's something they're still trying to work out, because the developers have actually discussed many times, like, should we have an alternate point of entry for people who want to come in and, just play the new stuff?
Yeah.
And this seems like it would be this seems like the point where it would make sense to drop people, because they've wrapped up all the stuff from the last 10 years. It's a fresh start on a new continent. So I don't know what the sort of onboarding experience is at that point, whether they just give you a little codex to read about everything that's happened, which is which sort of exists in the game already, but they've not really formalized it yet. So there's not a button you can push, or there's not a menu option you select that just says, hey, start me off at the start of Dawntrail. Right. Because I'm not interested in all the previous stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, doesn't that mean ultimately that every time one of these expansions comes out, it's less and less people playing it than the previous one? Because you're not growing the audience at all. You're really just making it smaller. If the prerequisite is you have to have played all the previous stuff, ultimately you have fewer and fewer people who conceptually can keep up with that over time.
Yes and no. I mean, it's true that you weed out more and more people, but also, I mean, the player base has really grown, and there are people who actually do the entire journey, whether it's they play it, they actually play through the entire thing, or they do the story skip.
And just power up to it, yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like, well, I don't know the actual numbers.
Sure, right. More than 4.
More than 4. Yeah. The player base, like, in Dawntrail at this point is pretty substantial. Partly because, I mean, there was a huge surge of players during COVID and some of the lockdown period after that. And yeah, so like the game is still pretty healthy, but it's still a very controversial thing about like, should more players just be encouraged to skip through the experience leading up to this point?
Sorry, I mean to sort of like derail your your Final Fantasy enthusiasm, but that's
no, it's fine.
Yeah, when you said that it was sort of like a slow start, I kind of figured they were just sort of like getting people caught up if you have never played this before, but this is not a product for those people, essentially. So,
right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I guess I won't play Final Fantasy XIV with you, but
no, you should just play through the entire thing because it's really good.
Just do the whole damn thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's I don't know if like you were seriously asking me that, like, oh, should I skip to the end?
Sure.
Or just, you know, asking anyone in general. One of the common responses is, or how should I frame this? People who have done the story skip, I mean, like I said, you can go back in the game and sort of like catch yourself up on all the previous cutscenes. There's an option to just go back and watch all of them. There's a New Game Plus option, which lets you like actually replay the quests that you have missed or previous quests that you have completed. So maybe you just want to play like Heavensward again. You can go back and just do that on your existing character. You don't have to create a new character or anything. And it's interesting. One of the common things that people say, like, oh, you know, I was in a hurry to get to the latest thing, so I did the story skip. I skipped all the cutscenes on the quest, so I don't know what's going on in the story. Eventually, I went back and played through the story again, and I regret like skipping everything the first time. Mm-hmm. Because now I just have this greater sort of understanding of everything, and I know what's actually going on. So to me, that's like, it's kind of heartening, because I was like, oh yeah, so it just like reaffirms that the story content that's there is good.
Yeah.
But it is like, I do have kind of a difficult time recommending like people get into it. I mean, I recommend people get into it just because like what's there is good, but I have to give them that warning, like, are you really set on like just hitting the ground running with Dawntrail? Like, do you have a plan? Like, are you planning to join your friends immediately for like whatever raid they're doing?
Right.
Because if you're just interested in playing like an MMO or playing the latest Final Fantasy that you've never experienced, I think it's totally worthwhile to go back and just play the previous expansions because they're very good. And like I said, there's the New Game Plus option. If you do want to skip ahead and go back and sort of slowly make your way through all the past content.
Right.
But it continues to be a sort of a point of contention for like what the new player experience should be, especially since, you know, every time they come out with one of these, it's like an extra 40 or 50 hours onto every new player's journey before they're caught up and able to play the newest stuff.
Yeah. And I guess maybe I'm sort of stuck thinking about them as sequels, and they are kind of sequels, right? I mean, would you agree with that? But they're also expansions. So they're expansions first.
It's all like a continuous storyline.
Right. Because I have in my brain, like, you know, if they made a new Uncharted, and you've never played an Uncharted before, but you think it looks super cool, but oh no, this is not for you. You have to go back and play from Uncharted 1 first.
Yes, well, that's like, a good comparison. Like, would you
there
recommend
would be riots
somebody
in the streets, right?
just yourself, you'd be the whole crowd.
Well, no, I've played since Uncharted 1, so I'd be okay. But like, you know, if you're a new gamer, if you didn't have a PlayStation before, and this is the first time you've got access, and cool, I want to check out Uncharted 5. But no, I'm sorry, that's not an option. You've got to go back and play 50 hours of Uncharted before you can do this thing.
Oh, that's what Sony is telling people to do, or that is your recommendation?
Well, no, that like, if that was the prerequisite for being able to play a new Uncharted game or a new Gears of War or a new Halo, whatever. If the requirement was that, no, you can't play this new thing until you've played all the other stuff, or you pay us $30, it seems a little, I don't know, not cool to me. Yeah. But those are sequels. They're not expansions. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is like on some level, it's designed for people who have reached that point already.
Sure.
Would you tell people to just pick up Uncharted 4 and start from there? I'm curious.
I mean, they're fairly self-contained. I mean, it's like, I don't think there's a whole hell of a lot that happens in Uncharted 4 that requires you have a working knowledge of everything that's happened previously in the Uncharted games.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, but let's say, so you buy Uncharted 4, but that gives you access to the first 3 Uncharteds, because that's the way the expansion packs work.
Right, you did mention that. Oh, so would I recommend then that people start playing at Uncharted 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got the time, if you're super excited to play Uncharted, like, if you're super excited to play Uncharted 4, you should have the option of jumping into that right away if you want to. But sure, as an Uncharted fan, I would recommend you go back to the beginning.
Okay, well, see, there you go.
Fine,
so they're
$30,
just
please.
right. Well, they're just trying to figure out what how it should actually work.
Sure.
When if you just want to skip ahead to Dawntrail, and I'm sure that the fact that they sell the story skips for real money is a part of that conversation, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm kind of like people should go back and play the previous stuff.
Right. Because you like it and it's good and you recommend it, right? Like you stand by that. Like, no, it's a good experience. You should have that experience that I've enjoyed so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like it's just a little weird. Like, I know you want to do raids with your friends, but jumping in at the end of a TV season or something like that. Like, oh, I heard the last episode's really good, so
so I'll
just not waste my time with all the lead up.
Yeah, I don't need to know how Walter White became Heisenberg.
Yeah. just want to watch Better Call Saul.
Right, exactly. Okay, I'm with you, DJ. Sorry, I didn't mean to sort of like throw off your whole thing, but I had follow-up questions and didn't want to save them to the end.
Yeah, no, that was fine. That was most of my thing, because I'm not done with the campaign yet, because I'm behind, because I was not sure if I was enjoying it, like I was saying. But no, much to my relief, it seems like it's good. That's sort of what I expected from this team. Like, sometimes they do take a while to just rev themselves up, but they have a very solid reputation. I'm confident they will deliver something. I'm sure the second half of the story will be very interesting.
And is it the same dev team that does all of these expansions?
It is, although some staff have shuffled around. Like, it's a different writer this time. I think it's I don't know if there's a junior writer previously, but the lead writer from the previous expansions has moved into a different role. So there's a different lead writer, which is fine. It's just sort of now you have different expectations on what the story is going to be like, or maybe we don't have any expectations because they've never written the main story before. So we'll see.
Yeah, but you still get some degree of consistency there, right?
Yeah. And like I was saying, it's also just not entirely about the story, although that does tend to be what I think about when somebody asks me, like, well, what did you think of this expansion, or this, what did you think of Final Fantasy V? Right? That, for that matter, I tend to just go immediately to what I thought of the story and what my response to that was. But like I was saying, there's all these gameplay additions. There are new jobs to play as. The new jobs seem really interesting. There's a mage that uses a paintbrush and just paints pictures during battle, and that's how they attack, which I'm like, okay, well, that's fun. That's very whimsical. I'm glad to see that here. And then there's 2 more years of patches coming, which we know a little bit about, and just based on that, they seem very promising. The devs are very open about sort of the roadmap of what's coming, and it seems like there's some pretty exciting stuff. Looking forward to doing all the regular stuff, like the raids and crafting and all that too. So it's tough to do a full evaluation of this thing while early access is still going on.
Yeah.
So this is treat this as my initial sort of thoughts on it.
Review in progress.
Yeah. I'm I'll definitely be checking in eventually, later on, see how things go. But yeah, initial sort of reservations aside, it's just great to have a new sort of adventure and new jobs and stuff to check out in Final Fantasy. It's very exciting.
Well, nice.
Yeah. And it feels like such an event. Wish we could have an expansion launch weekend every weekend. It's just so fun.
Yeah, I like a gaming event. I don't feel like there's a ton of those for me personally so much anymore, but
yeah.
there was once upon a time I would go to like midnight lunches and things like that, and there's not a lot of. I mean, the gaming universe is not really built that way anymore either. So, I don't know. I don't. Yeah, it really comes down to PTO, right? What video games are PTO worthy? Do I want to use a vacation day to play this? Nothing for me since that last Zelda game.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think I did the midnight thing for that, or did I? I don't remember. It's weird. I didn't. I definitely didn't do the midnight thing for this, even though I think the servers come back online. They usually do like a big long maintenance so they can apply the update to the game, and then they let everybody back in at about I think 2 a.m. my time. And some people will stay up. You have done that
before, right? Have you not?
I will do it for like when there's patches, but not for a main expansion because like so many people try and do that. You have to like wait in line to get into the game.
Oh wow!
And then everything like the game like the network is super congested. I feel like it's just not a great experience. And then you're just up. You're trying to do this at 2 a.m. and then you're just exhausted the next day.
I'm tired and frustrated. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I do is I just like go to bed. And then I get up super early the next day, and then I can just like enjoy it the rest of the day. A lot of the congestion has like worked itself out, and it's a fairly normal, like hassle-free experience. So I think that's the way to do it. I don't need to be there in like minute 1 to check out all the new stuff.
And you're well rested.
Yes, yeah, it's nice. I get up very early. I go out and get a coffee or something, and then I come back and hope the queue to log in isn't too bad.
Excellent. Well, cool. I'm excited for you, DJ. I think you chime in on every single one of these when they pop up, and it always seems like you've tapped into some little bit of childhood fun when these things hit the universe. So
yeah,
good for you, man.
It's definitely like it's not it's not comparable to any sort of other game release that I played because. Previous to this, I had not played a lot of sort of like multiplayer games. I can't think of one. Like I was never I think like Halo back in the 2000s would have been like maybe the closest thing where just people are really excited to get the new multiplayer thing and jump online and play with their friends. But I don't know if there's ever been a game like that for me. Maybe one of the Battlefields.
That was the first one I thought of, yeah.
Yeah. But even like for most big game launches, like a lot of them have just been JRPGs, which is a single player thing. So I'm super excited to go get that, and I'll just come home and like play it, and then maybe chat with people about it later. But it's not like this big collective thing where we're all just in the same instance, experiencing the exact same thing as it's going on. Yeah, not really a lot of similar experiences. Maybe a midnight movie launch is the closest thing, because then you're all just in there while it's happening.
Yeah.
But and I haven't done one of those in a while either.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's, I don't know if that's still even a thing, because now they have the night before a big release, they usually do like an 8 p.m. showing, and I'm like, oh, I don't have to stay up till midnight. I don't have to stay up till 2 a.m.
That's like, that seems like a responsible move.
Right.
The part of the theaters or the studios.
Yeah, the studios finally caught up. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, we will eagerly anticipate updates from the world of Dawntrail.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be like every week, because that would just make you insane. Then I would be doing the 90-minute monologue episodes. But I'll probably check back in like when the raid comes out, or like when the next major patch comes out. But seems like it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah. Is there a roadmap in advance of what the timing on those things look like, or you just sort of cross your fingers and go with the flow?
We know the raid is coming out a month from now, because they give everybody sort of time to like get through the storyline and get their groups together and get ready. And that's a lot of fun too, because like when it comes out, there's like the world race to see which team can be the first to clear it. And then we have a general idea, like the new major patches come out every 3 or 4 months. So it'll be a little bit, but that's fine. There's a ton of new stuff to get through before that happens. So yeah. I'm not really worried about it.
No rush.
Yeah. That is probably the best approach you can take, the best mentality you can have to any new MMO. It's just like, there's no rush. Like, what's the big hurry? Just like take your time with it, because you can only play it for the first time once, and you don't want to just be like staying up 48 hours in a row, because I know some people have done that with the campaign, and they were just miserable afterward. And I was like, why did you do that?
Well, those are the people posting their Steam review, and the game has been out for a day, and they've played for 20. Yeah, this person's played for 24 hours. I'm like, how is that possible?
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people responding to that. I mean, because like, I think this is the first one where it's launched and then it's had less than positive reviews on Steam. But then people brought up a good point, which is like, if you are just consuming this much of a game that rapidly, like, how much of it are you actually processing as it's coming in? How much of it are you retaining? Like, what is in your head as you are writing your Steam review 24 hours later after just having blitzed this thing for 23 hours in a row? I'm amazed if any of them are like coherent at all.
Yeah, yes. Well, these are the people, 3 or 4 days into the release of Tears of the Kingdom when it came out, who were posting things on Twitter and whatnot. And I was like, what game are you playing? Because I'm playing a very different game. 100 hours behind you. Fully transforming robots and Vori in the monster truck and stuff like that. And I'm like gluing 2 boards to a wheel.
Yeah. I'm still just making fire here before we build a Gundam or whatever. I feel like there should be a lockout on like Steam reviews or like user reviews on the review aggregators for like 48 hours or whatever. Sure. I don't know if that's good policy, but it's just like, calm down, everybody. Just like take a minute and relax. You don't have to consume everything immediately. Because there's the same people. There's a lot of the same people anyway, who a week later they've done everything and they're just like, oh man, there's nothing to do.
There's no post game. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, where's the content? So,
yeah, just doing the content.
Just enjoy things at a responsible pace, please.
I agree. All right. Well, cool. Let's wrap this thing up.
Let's do it. Yeah, I gotta go. What am I doing here still?
I know, really. Just wasting time, DJ.
Gotta get back in that queue.
If you need any more video game hangover in your brain, you should definitely follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/VGHangover. And you can always get show notes and links and tell us what you thought about this episode at VGHangover.com. We would love for you to hang out with us on Discord, chat about video games and other fun pop culture stuff. You can get a link to that at VGHangover.com. The summer backlog attack is coming. We'll have more about that to share soon. But if you want to hang out with us and play some old video games, the Discord is a good place to do that. So links at VGHangover.com.
Yeah.
We stream every other Monday night. This coming Monday night, we will be playing the Suika game. So make sure you go to twitch.tv/VGHangover for that Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern time. And the last thing we will make sure you want to do is to please subscribe, rate, and review us on your podcasting app of choice. And maybe help us out by telling your friends about the show.
Yeah, it really helps us a lot. Helps us bring in new listeners. Then they get to enjoy the show. They get to watch me do weird watermelon shenanigans on the stream. It's a watermelon game. I don't know if we covered that.
Yep.
But anyway, so that'll be next week. That'll be good. Make sure your friends don't miss it out. Make sure your friends don't miss out. So, and tell them about the show.
Well,
you want to give thanks? Yes, something like that. Definitely said. Want to give thanks again to RJ Lake this week for our intro and outro music. If you'd like to hear more of his work, you can go to spellmynamewithabang.bandcamp.com and load up your cart with stuff like, what is it? El Paso Elsewhere and the Airport for Dogs video game. I'm not saying that one.
An airport for aliens currently run by dogs.
There you go. Oh, amazing. Yep. And a bunch of other stuff. That would be
yes. Good. He's very prolific. There's a lot of really, really good music on there. So it's very kind of 4th of July related too. It's Spell My Name with a Bang. It's like fireworks. You got it.
Yeah.
Do the thing. Yeah.
Good tie-in. Good job.
Perfect. We'll be back soon. Until then, this is Randy Dickinson.
This is DJ Ross.
Thanks so much for listening to Video Game Hangover. Good night.
Bye.